To be humble, to be kind, it is a giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. And to be bold, to be brave, it is a thinking that the heart can still be saved. And the darkness can come quick, the danger's in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. And tell me what it is that you see, a world that's full of endless possibilities. And heroes don't look like they used to, they look like you do. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley. So glad that you are here this morning. If you are visiting for the first time, I want to especially welcome you on this Sunday where many of us have hearts in our throats. It is good to be together. No matter who you are or how you make your living, no matter whom you love or how you experience the sacred, we hope that you will feel welcome here among us in the fullness of your being. Everyone is invited after the service to make your way all the way across the atrium into the social hall for a lunch that's provided freely every week. Please stay for food and conversation if you can. Here we gather each week at the intersection of arts, justice, and spirituality on what we know is the unceded territory of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people, Huchiun. And in this season, when we've been talking about the webs we weave and how they break and repair, we know that we have inherited a broken covenant. And we hope that we will have the humility and the courage to do our part to repair what has been broken, to live into a new solidarity with indigenous peoples and with the land. We have a memory book at the back of the sanctuary, and you're invited any week to write a hope or prayer, a joy or sorrow, grief or gratitude. If there's something you'd like read aloud during the service, you're also welcome to light a candle for a silent memory or prayer. We've also left there for this month a box of those cards that we tied along the strings at the sides of the sanctuary last week to remember and honor our beloved dead. So anytime this month, if there's someone you'd like to bring present in this cloud of witness that surrounds us, I invite you to write their name on one of those cards, write a gift that you received from their life on the back, and hang it along with all the others around the sanctuary. In this season, talking about the webs we weave, we have reached the day where we will talk about the coconut tree. Because as one of our presidential candidates' mothers once said, "You did not fall out of a coconut tree." So we're going to talk about what it means to exist in the context of all that's been and all that is today. Would you rise in body or spirit? Before we sing our first hymn, we're just going to first wave back to the camera. Maybe we can get that camera at the back. Sorry to spring this on you, Andy. We're just going to wave to all those who are with us on Zoom, with us on YouTube, rather. Glad you're here. And we're going to greet those around us. And you could even cross the aisle if you want. We need a lot more crossing the aisle in this culture.
Good morning. I'm Victoria Bowen. I'm the co-chair of Welcoming and Membership with Lonnie Mosley, who is currently welcoming online. Today, I'll be doing the chalice lighting reading with our new members, and immediately after, we'll have our ingathering of new members. The reading today is from Katie Romana Griffin. Come, let us enter this space of hope and community. Come, let us enter this space with our sorrows, our joys, our passion, and compassion. Come, let us enter this space with the stories of our ancestors, for their strength and wisdom beats in our hearts. Come into this space, present to the beloved companions who move beside us. Come into this space, mindful that together we are building a future for other generations. Come into this space and let us worship. Our new members today are Donna Goeth, Lindsay Leopold, whose child Asher is also here, but doing a much more important activity, Ultimate Frisbee. Jane Robbins-Laurent, Nadine Robbins-Laurent, Maggie Robinson. We also have three new members who aren't with us today, and we'll welcome them another day. And that is Michael Hanley, Mary Gardner, and June Sheffield.
We're so glad you're here. Can you tell? We're so glad that you're here. You know, becoming a member of a congregation is logistically not challenging. These new members have signed the book and made pledges of contributing their time, talent, and treasure. We've sat down and had a ritual of reading the covenant together. But the real meaning of membership is something unique. It's the opportunity to share your ideas and ideals as you join your life's journey with ours. Just as we hope your lives are changed and enriched by your membership here, we hope that you will transform us, that you will transform this place by sharing your creativity, your vitality, your doubts, and your discoveries. May you challenge us with your honest thinking, prick and prod our conscience with your questions, stir our hopes with your dreams. May we all be blessed by the many ways you will make us different and better. May our common life together bless the world. Let us join in an affirmation of your welcome. Will you rise, members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley, in body or in spirit, and read together?
We bring to the community our strengths, our limits, our desires. We ask for your love and encouragement as we make our places among you. We are glad to be here.
Together, new members and congregation, we commit ourselves to honesty and
spinners and weavers in this web of life, and the joy that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being. We are daughters of flowers, we are sons of trees, we are petals and leaves in this web of life, and the roots that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being. We are daughters of lyrics, we are sons of notes, we are spirituals and hymns in this web of life, and the voices that we weave reach out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being. We are daughters of tomorrow, we are sons of our dreams, we are spinners and weavers in this web of life, and the future that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being. Deep within the center of our being.
I want to tell you a story today that is not maybe obviously related to falling out of coconut trees, but see if you can figure out how it might be. So I want to tell you a story about cows. Yeah. And I want to tell you a story about taxes. Taxes. We pay them. And I want to tell you a story about two women who decided they needed to do something to make a difference. So this is the story of Abby and Julia Smith, who lived in Glastonbury, Connecticut in the 1870s. Now, Abby and Julia were the youngest of 5, and they were the only people who were still alive in their family, so they had a big family farm in Connecticut. And they had cows and chickens and lots and lots and lots of crops, and they did very well. And every year, Abby and Julia paid their taxes. They paid their taxes happily. They believed taxes were necessary for a thriving society. They thought, we have a lot, and we're going to give some back to everyone else in our community. And so every year they got a tax bill and they paid their taxes. And then one year, their tax bill went way, way up, like $100. So in 1874, that was a lot. That was a lot more money than they had paid before. And they were curious, they didn't understand what was going on, but they believed in taxes, so they paid the bill. And then the next year, it went up even more. And they were very curious. And somehow they found out that Glastonbury, Connecticut had raised taxes for female landowners, but no one else. So there were 4 women in town who owned land, and their taxes had gone up, but all the male landowners, their taxes had stayed the same. Now, Abby and Julia thought, what did they think? It's not fair. Like, how can this be? What could Abby and Julia do about it? Yeah, pretty much nothing. There weren't a lot of options. Women could not vote in 1874. And so Abby and Julia had spent most of their life just working on the farm and being kind of shy and retiring, but they thought, we've got to try to do something. And so they asked if they could make a speech at the local town hall. And so the men let them come in. Abby, in particular, worked up her courage, and she went in, and she made a fiery speech about no taxation without representation, and this was unfair, and the men, I don't know if they listened, but they didn't say anything, and she left, and they went on with their business. But the speech got picked up, and suddenly Abby and Julia were kind of celebrities, and they began to think, maybe we should work to get women the right to vote. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe women should have the right to vote. And then the next year, the town again sent out their tax bill, and Abby and Julia decided, you know what? We're not going to pay it. We're just not going to pay. And the town said, well, yes, you are. And they took Abby and Julia's cows. Yeah, they took their cows, and they were going to auction them off and then give away the money. And you know what they did? Abby and Julia followed the cows to the auction in a wagon, and they bought back their cows. In effect, they paid their taxes by buying back their cows. But this became a national story. People in Chicago were talking about the cows, and people in California were talking about the cows. And suddenly, Abby and Julia were kind of voting celebrities. And this went on for several years until finally they sued and the town gave in and they stopped taking their cows. Who, I want to just add, when this started, the cows were named things like Bessie and, cow names. And by the end, they were named Taxi and Votey. So Abby and Julia had a sense of humor. So eventually, the town gave in, but here's the really part of the story I didn't say. When all of this started in 1874, Abby Smith was 77 years old, and Julia Smith was 82 years old. So they really stepped out of their comfort zone in a big way and tried to make a difference. And they went all around the country advocating for women's right to vote. It didn't happen while they were alive, because women got the right to vote, does anybody know? 1920. So they were long gone. They worked for something that they never saw happen. And maybe that's what we're doing too. You're just going to keep working for what we believe in the most. And then the weavers and the dreamers, the children, will see the fruits of what we've done. So that's my story. I'd like to invite the kids to come out with me, and we're going to sing them out. Parents, you should be able to find them in the playground after service. So if everybody could rise in body and spirit and sing the kids out with This Little Light of Mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, building up a world. I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world. I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Good morning. My name is Tom Tripp, and Karen and I have been coming here to UCB for a bit over 17 years now. We are all part of weaving this community web, plus many others, including our family, our work, neighborhoods. All our webs have influenced us, and hopefully we've influenced them somewhat. Kamala Harris shared a story about her mother, in which her mother said to her, and I quote, "Do you think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you." So when Marcus discussed the webs we weave and none of us fell out of a coconut tree, my thoughts returned to my childhood in Java and how it has been a huge part of the context in which I have lived. So I was 9 years old, one of 4 children living in the Midwest suburb. My parents told us one day, we're going to move to Java for 2 years. The question was, of course, where's that? We consulted a globe and discovered that it's one island in a country of thousands of islands on the far side of the globe, Indonesia. So a few months later, the 6 of us left for Java. We left heading west. We left Wisconsin heading west and returned 2 years later from the east. And so much happened in those 2 years. Those years provided much of the context in which I've lived my life and hopefully touched others. And I did fall out of a coconut tree. But more on that later. So the first year there, my brother and sisters and I all attended a local school. Our parents wanted us to learn the language, assimilate, and meet friends. We did learn the language and met friends, but that was a difficult year. The algebra was way above 5th grade level for me, but we did learn the language. The second year, my sisters, who were approaching college age, went off to the international school at Geneva, Switzerland, while my brother and I remained in Java. We wrote daily. We had tutors in math and French. My French teacher didn't know English. She only knew Indonesian and French. So I was learning French through Indonesian. Meanwhile, we continued the immersion in local culture, music, and dance. That's me. My parents acquired a set of old brass and bronze Javanese gamelan instruments and started a local children's gamelan club with American and local children. We had daily lessons in Javanese music and dance, and our instructors became like brothers. We studied and were forced to write daily about the Javanese interpretation of the Hindu mythology, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Our time in Java was during the final years of the expulsion of the Dutch back to the Netherlands. We were advised always to carry American flags to prove that, although white, we were not Dutch. So I left the Midwest a Presbyterian, lived in a Muslim country, in a largely Hindu culture, near the largest Buddhist shrine in the world, Borobudur, and came back really confused. I learned to love and admire the diversity of Indonesia and to respect multiple religions. The context of what came before me had a huge influence on the web woven around me. The rest of my life has been influenced by those experiences. I returned to conventional high school, went to college, married Karen, had an amazing and fun career in construction management, have 3 successful, independent, wonderful children and 5 grandchildren. All of this has been influenced by the web of my early life. After a 40-year career in Buffalo, New York, and after our children married and moved on, Karen and I came to California just to try something new. I stopped in here one day, my first Sunday here in the Bay, and was welcomed by this community. My now very old Javanese gamelan is on loan here to this community, and here for Daniel Schmidt to teach and for all of us to enjoy, and the instruments are much happier being played here than they were in storage much of my life. As for falling out of a coconut tree, I did mention that. When I was in Java, I climbed a coconut tree, harvested a coconut, and when coming down, I did fall to the ground. So I have fallen out of a tree, but I think the important thing is I didn't just fall out of a tree. There were so many experiences related to that falling that have influenced my family and all of those in the various webs and networks around me, and hopefully some of you here today. I was picked up by my mother, and as I continue to fall from coconut trees, I have been picked up by communities and other networks around me. I'm thankful for the opportunity to take that fall and really thankful to be here. If anyone is curious about any of these instruments here, they'll be here after the service, and you can come up and look at them. Thank you very much.
However you got to this moment, whatever coconut tree you might have fallen out of, I invite you to take a moment now to rest more comfortably in this time and place. To feel your body's connection down to this good earth, this holy earth that holds us no matter what. To feel your breath moving in and out, connecting you with all that is, all that has been, all that will be. To properly prepare a ballot, first leave it sitting for a week or two on the kitchen table. Let it marinate in the half-awake putter between mug, tea bag, and kettle. Soak in the early evening rush to feed child, partner, dog, get homework done, and make one more call. It should be lightly floured, stained heartbeat red with the ketchup that splatters as you squeeze out the last few drops. Seared by the hot pan just off the stove with nowhere to go but on the unkempt pile of mail. It should be marked by the watery circle of one more cup no one remembered to put in the dishwasher. It should have a grocery list quickly scrawled across the cover. Quick math for a tight budget balanced on the back. O God dwelling in halls of power and in humble homes, let the truth of our messy kitchen lives, the anxieties of homes stretched thin, the desperation and despair of our times be cast into the ballot box, along with our common dreams for a healthier country to come. Let the hopes and fears of our intimate hearths be heard in our public cries, Remind all who would lead, all who decide and debate and determine in our fragile democracy that they too must sometimes borrow eggs from a neighbor, fish shells out of the bowl, bake imperfect bread. Spirit of life, speak words of courage today in our hearts. Remind us that our voice does not begin or end with our vote, that we have inherited the sacred recipes of democracy from those who have come before, and the truths we hold today are holy ingredients for our society. That our fears deserve to be honored for their wisdom, that our anger is a cook fire necessary for the work of love. Let us dwell in stillness, in quiet, together. Each week, in this community of care and witness, we hold one another through the seasons of our lives. We lift up those joys and sorrows among us. Wynne today is thinking of my wife Cindy, who passed through the veil 13 months ago, and inviting her collaboration from the other side in my life, work, art, and calling. Linda Laskowski shares the news, sorrow, on the passing last night of Ilsa Evans from a massive stroke. Linda reminds us she was the woman with Starkey the service dog, who came regularly for years. Joy that her husband Jim provided such a high quality of life for her these last few years, and that she was my friend for over 20 of them. Helen Toy shares prayers for the family and many friends of Sue Reed Terrell, my best friend from age 7, who died very suddenly last Tuesday. We think of Mary and Olivia, who unexpectedly lost their husband and father recently. With someone, we think of all the children and families killed in Gaza. I send prayers for peace in the spirit world and peace for Israel and Palestine in the material world. And Patrick Cullinane reminds us, declares, we are not the enemy within. We stand for the Republic and its Constitution and the rule of law. Vote. For all that we have said aloud, for all that yet remains in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, may we know that what each of us holds here is held in the loving embrace of this community and by a wider, deeper love beyond all naming, a love that cannot, that will not let us go. May it be so, and amen. Let's remain seated as we sing together, Find a Stillness. Find the stillness, hold the stillness, let the stillness. A longer reading to begin this morning. I think I owe it to Langston Hughes to read it in its entirety. From 1935, Let America Be America Again. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be that great, strong land of love where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath, but opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? And who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery's scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush weak. I'm the young man full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient, endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land, of grab the gold, of grab the ways of satisfying need, of work the men, of take the pay, of owning everything for one's own good. I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I'm the worker sold to the machine. I'm the Negro servant to you all. I am the people, hungry, humble, mean. Hungry yet today, despite the dream, beaten yet today. Oh, pioneers, I am the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker, bartered through the years. Yet I'm the one who dreamt our basic dream, In the old world, while still a serf of kings, who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave, so true, that even yet its mighty daring sings in every brick and stone, in every furrow turned, that's made America the land it has become. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant to be my home, for I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shore, and Poland's plain, and England's grassy lay, and torn from black Africa's strand I came to build a homeland of the free. The free? Who said the free? Not me, surely not me. The millions on relief today, the millions shot down when we strike, the millions who have nothing for our pay. For all the dreams we've dreamed, and all the songs we've sung, and all the hopes we've held, and all the flags we've hung, the millions who have nothing for our pay except the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has yet been, and yet must be, the land where every man is free, the land that's mine, the poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me, who made America, whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain must bring back our mighty dream again. Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain. From those who live like leeches on the people's lives, we must take back our land again, America. Oh yes, I say it plain, America never was America to me, and yet I swear this oath, America will be. Out of the rack and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies, we, the people, must redeem the lands, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, and the endless plain, all the stretch of these great green states, and make America again. And make America again. You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you. None of us fell out of a coconut tree, except for Tom. It was Kamala Harris's mother, Shyamala Gopalan, who said that to her. Shyamala and Harris's father, Donald Harris, they met through UC Berkeley here at an African American Studies group. A group she helped to start, a group out of which members would go on to help start the Black Panther Party. Two immigrants coming to pursue some dream that has kept alive somehow over 2 centuries of what America could be. Attempting to weave out of the legacy of colonialism, both of these immigrants coming from British colonies, a new fabric of freedom to weave their stories into the American story. In 1943, the United States War Department began to publish a series of educational pamphlets for the U.S. soldiers in the European theater of war, World War II. They were titled Army Talks. And they said that the series was, quote, designed to help the personnel become better informed men and women and therefore better soldiers. The historian Heather Cox Richardson recently shared about this pamphlet in one of her newsletters. She said on March 24th, 1945, the topic for the week was, all capitals, exclamation mark, fascism. It began, you are away from home, separated from your families, no longer at a civilian job or at school, and many of you are risking your very lives because of a thing called fascism. Fascism is not the easiest thing to identify and analyze, nor once in power is it easy to destroy. It is important for our future and that of the world that as many of us as possible understand the causes and practices of fascism in order to combat it. This is the U.S. military. Fascism, the pamphlet went on, treats women as mere breeders. Children, kitchen, and the church was the Nazi slogan for women. Fascists make their own rules and change them when they choose. They maintain themselves in power by use of force combined with propaganda based on primitive ideas of blood and race, by skillful manipulation of fear and hate, and by false promise of security. The propaganda glorifies war and insists it is smart and realistic to be pitiless and violent. Every successful authoritarian political movement that we've seen in the world has relied on these tactics. Focus on purity of identity for those who belong, and stoking fear of an outsider group who are demonized and blamed for all of the troubles of the in-group. We know this, right? I'm not sharing any news, but I think it's good to name these things aloud. Americans should not be fooled into thinking that fascism could not come to America, the pamphlet warned. After all, quote, we once laughed Hitler off as a harmless little clown with a funny mustache. Remember the story of the beer hall putsch that I learned the week of January 6th, 2021? You know about the beer hall putsch? So the putsch is the German word for coup. And beer halls, of course, are the great big gathering place, the public house. And so in one such beer hall in Munich in 1923, Hitler and a small band of nutty extremists, they staged what turned out to be a failed coup. Hitler's hope that the army and the police would be swept up in the excitement of his national rhetoric was overblown, and after a night of confusion, the whole thing was over. 16 Nazis dead and all ridiculed, the whole clownish effort widely ridiculed as a charade. Whenever I think of that attempted coup on January 6th, I think of how clownish it looked. Those images of the QAnon shaman and the furs, the paint, the absurdity of this disorganized mob thinking they could overthrow the election. Hitler was arrested a couple days later after that coup and used the public trial to stoke fires of nationalism. He was ultimately sentenced to 5 years, of which he only had to serve 9 months in prison, time he used to write Mein Kampf. And of course, we all know the end of this story, that a decade after that failed, clownish beer hall putsch, the Nazis finally took power in 1933. The pamphlet acknowledged that the U.S. had experienced sorry instances of mob sadism, lynchings, vigilantism, terror, and suppression of civil liberties right here in our country. It said we've had our hooded gangs, black legions, silver shirts, and racial and religious bigots. All of them, in the name of Americanism, have used undemocratic methods and doctrines which can be properly identified as fascist. There has always been a fascist thread in the American story. As Langston Hughes famously pointed out, for many years we called it Jim Crow, which of course is very literally the model that the Nazis used for their template as a vision for society, the U.S. anti-miscegenation laws as inspiration for their own laws that were still in effect in some states when this military pamphlet was written. And so the War Department thought it was important for Americans to understand the tactics fascists would use to take power in the United States. They would try to gain power under the guise of super-patriotism and super-Americanism. And they would use three techniques. This is what Heather Cox Richardson elaborates. They would pit religious and racial and economic groups against one another to break down national unity. A well-planned hate campaign against minorities, races, religions, and other groups, the pamphlet said. Second, they would deny any need for international cooperation because that would fly in the face of their insistence that their supporters were better than everybody else. In place of international cooperation, it said, the fascists seek to substitute a perverted sort of ultranationalism which tells their people that they are the only people in the world who count. With this goes hatred and suspicion toward the people of all other nations. And third, fascists would insist that the world has but two choices, either fascism or communism, and they label as communists everyone who refuses to support them. You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you. It concluded, this pamphlet, that it's vitally important to learn to spot native fascists. Even though they adopt names and slogans with popular appeal, drape themselves in the American flag, and attempt to carry out their program in the name of the democracy they are trying to destroy. The only way to stop the rise of fascism in the United States, the document said, is by making our democracy work and by actively cooperating to preserve world peace and security. What I think that the writers of that pamphlet were unable to see, to understand at the time, is that making democracy work and actively cooperating to preserve world peace and security were not enough. Allowing an economic system to exacerbate vast inequality and a racist colonialist worldview to destroy cultural identities rooted in something deeper than materialism is what has enabled the forces of fascism to amass enough power that we are facing the very real possibility of their taking over the American state. So yeah, I'm scared. And I know many of you are too. I'm scared for teachers at my child's Spanish immersion elementary school who are afraid their families could be rounded up, sent to detention camps, and deported. I'm scared for our queer families and neighbors whose very existence threatens the patriarchal paradigm underlying the fascist ideology. I'm scared for women being denied essential health care. I know you're scared, and I'm scared too. I didn't think of myself as a very brave kid growing up. Growing up, I got the idea that bravery was about kind of a reckless bravado, a determination to take risks no matter what the cost, proof of manhood or something, a defiance of the parts of ourselves we have labeled as weak. When bravery is understood as a forceful overcoming of weakness, it becomes a hollow show. a mask that tries to hide the very reality of human fragility and loses touch with the body in all its vulnerability and wisdom. This week, thinking about bravery, I know it as a choice that begins in the belly, as a capacity to stay in touch with whatever fears and uncertainties roil in the gut, while widening the awareness to include curiosity and desire. It is a decision to take risks in the service of vision, a determination to fight for what one values and accept the consequences, claiming as one's own the struggle necessary for growth. Whatever happens on Tuesday, and the days and weeks that follow, for we know we may well not know the results of this election for some time to come. We do know, whatever happens, that the threat of fascism is real and alive in this country. And overcoming it will take moments of bravery from all of us in the months and years to come. Valerie Kaur's prayer, a Sikh prayer for America, a prayer she wrote days after the 2016 election, has been on my mind and my heart. She said, "The future is dark, but my faith dares me to ask, what if this darkness is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb? What if our America is not a dead country, but a country still waiting to be born? What if the story of America is one long labor? What if all the mothers who came before us, who survived genocide and occupation, slavery and Jim Crow, racism and xenophobia and Islamophobia, political oppression and sexual assault, what if they are all standing behind us now, whispering in our ear, 'You are brave'? What if this is our great contraction before we birth a new future? Remember the wisdom of the midwife. She says, 'Breathe.' Then she says, 'Push.' Valerie Kaur says, now it is time to breathe, but soon it will be time to push. Soon it will be time to fight for those we love: Muslim father, Sikh son, trans daughter, indigenous brother, immigrant sister, white worker, the poor and forgotten, the ones who cast their vote out of resentment and fear. Let us make an oath to fight for the soul of America, the land that never has been yet and yet must be, with revolutionary love and relentless optimism. And so, she says, I pray this Sikh prayer, Nanak Naam Chardi Kala Tere Bane Sarbat Dabala, in the name of the divine, in the name of love within us and around us. We find everlasting optimism. Within your will, may there be grace for all humanity. So let's remember to breathe this week. Whatever happens in this election, let's remember we are threads in a deeper story than any one election or political moment. Let us reach deep and remember all those ancestors whose hands and cows lay at our shoulders. All those shoulders on which we stand, who fought for a vision of extending life's liberties, embrace further and further, who conspired to make equality the air we breathe. In the months and years to come, bravery will be asked of us. Breathe, she says. Then push. May it be so, and amen.
Running river, flowing from the mountains to a distant sea. I've known many hills and valleys, but when I reach that ocean, I'll be free. Yes, hold me, rock me, calm and easy. Hold me, rock me, deep and wide. Hold me, rock me, in your arms. Oh, I gotta hold on, I gotta hold on, I gotta hold on the other side. Yes, I gotta hold on, I gotta hold on, I gotta hold on the other side. On the other
Good morning. I'm Helen Toy, and I'm a member of your Board of Trustees. In our covenantal community, we share the responsibility for pursuing our mission by giving generously of our time, talent, and treasure. I invite you to support the work of our church by giving electronically, by scanning the QR code on the back of your badge, or by putting a cash or check donation into the donation envelope that you will find in the back of the pew in front of you, and then put it into the donation box beside the fountain in the atrium as you leave the service. This week, half of our offering is shared with a nonprofit Good Neighbor organization. The Good Neighbor this month is No More Tears. No More Tears is a violence and crime prevention program founded in 2002 by men incarcerated at San Quentin and by concerned citizens, both seeking to remedy the rise of violent crime in their communities and to reduce the recidivism rate of returning citizens. Will you join me in dedicating ourselves to our mission? We dedicate our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation, to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service. Thank you.
We're honored to have a special guest from No More Tears with us today. Come share a little bit more about this wonderful good neighbor partner. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mick Gardner, and I'm the executive director and co-founder of No More Tears. Now, in previous years, you probably had Lonnie Morris come over and share his exploits with No More Tears as he and I founded the organization together. And through the introduction, when they said the services that we've been doing, which is crime and violence prevention services since 2002, we have other facets of our organization. We include a restorative practice talking and healing circle that we started in 2007. And what this provides is individuals that has trauma, a space for them to talk about trauma and overcome those issues. Prior to the pandemic, we added another facet of the organization, which was reentry. Because an individual has been incarcerated for a period of time, 15, 20, 30 years, they eventually will come home. But that critical period of them coming home is essential that they have support. So what happens is that when a person comes home, we pick them up at the gate. The gate is a term that's used when they're released. We pick them up at the gate. We take them and have a home breakfast. We take them somewhere to a restaurant and have a breakfast. And you should sit there one day. You should be there one day when they first have a home-cooked meal, as opposed to prison food for the last 25, 30 years or so. We then take them shopping. Because if an individual is not feeling good on the inside, we're going to make sure you look good on the outside. And so we take them shopping. We also accompany them to their first parole meeting as their advocate, because parole can be a very tedious process. You know, they don't really have that customer service, that customer care persona. So we want to make sure by sitting in the room with the individual that they have some type of direct consideration for the individual. We also will take that person to their transitional housing. Then in addition to that, we have that person participate in a weekly Zoom support meeting. Again, that's a critical period, a critical period that happens when a person is released from jail, from prison, So we make sure that that person is supported. Our efforts, and No More Tears has been, like this is, has been around since 2002. Our efforts has transcended into 85 to 90% of the individuals that come home don't return. They don't return. Yes, they don't return. Now, the other aspect of our organization is volunteerism, because this is my plea to you. We are asking, you see this lady, can you raise your hand? She's been volunteering with us for 5 years. She comes to our groups on a regular basis. The men inside love her. And so I'm asking you, if you have the time and the energy, and it doesn't take that much, it's just 1 day a week, or there may be some other expertise in your professional background that you have that can help an organization sustain itself, then come see me afterwards. And then the last thing that I want to do, anytime No More Tears has any type of forum, we end it with a No More Tears chant. So now I'm going to ask you to stand up. And we're going to do this 3 times. I'm going to say, I, Mick Gardner, am committed to stopping the violence. You are going to say, I, your name, are committed to stopping the tears. I, your name, are committed to stopping the tears. Now, each time we do it, we're going to get louder, louder, louder. Okay, here we go. I, Mick Gardner, am committed to stopping the tears. I, Mick Gardner, am committed to stopping the tears. All right, here we go. I, Mick Gardner, am committed to stopping the violence. No more tears. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mick. Thank you for your work. Thank you for honoring us with your presence today. Just want to lift up, as always, a few things happening in the life of our community. You can always find them on the website under that news tab, the week ahead. Today is the last day to submit. I'm not Charisse, she had to buzz off today. But the last day is today to submit your Good Neighbor nominations. So these Good Neighbor organizations that we go through sharing the plate with each month, we select those through a really beautiful democratic process. And so talk to Natalie Campbell if you want to know more. If you know a nonprofit in Alameda or Contra Costa County that aligns with our values, nominate them to be a good neighbor today at the table in the atrium. Today, later this afternoon at 5 o'clock is the LGBTQIA+ potluck. All are welcome. It's going to be a lot of fun, I can tell from everybody involved. So please come back for that if you can this evening. The next 2 Sundays coming up, we've got workshops happening after the service. So if you can stick around, next Sunday we're going to be talking about what webs require. Reverend Sam Wilson and I looking at restorative justice and how we build our capacity for conflict, engaging conflict in a transformational way within our community and then beyond. On the 17th, we've got folks from Good Guest Kensington bringing this incredible project called Entanglement. It's an art book that they're going to engage us with about the history of the indigenous people here and our settler colonial past and present. So come and join us for this experience that will be really remarkable in person here, put on by the Literature, Film, and Drama contingent of our Social Justice Council. We got lots of things coming up as we gear up for the holiday season, so keep an eye out for announcements of events to join. Now, will you rise one last time in body or in spirit, and let's sing a closing hymn. This is Holly Near's I Am Willing.
Before
reach out a hand or touch a shoulder. Let us be connected. All of us under this great big coconut tree. All of us connected in the context of all that is and all that has been. Let us remember this darkness as the darkness of the womb, not the tomb. Breathe, then push. May it be so, and amen.